Top 10 gemstones that will lose all value this year. In the world of gemstones, value is never permanent. A stone that once graced royal settings can, in a matter of years, become a fixture of discount counters. Others vanish from investment portfolios not because they've lost their beauty, but because the market has changed around them. This year, shifts in global supply, treatment technology, and buyer preference are rewriting the price tags of stones once considered secure. Some are facing competition from lab-grown alternatives. Others are produced so easily or mined in such quantity that scarcity no longer exists. Every gemstone in this list is still beautiful. Many remain popular in fashion jewelry, but for investors and serious collectors, 2025 marks the point where these stones no longer hold their ground in value. The market story is the same. Supply, demand, and perception have moved on. These are the 10 gemstones that, according to trade data and expert analysis, are set to lose value this year, and the reasons why no amount of cutting, polishing, or marketing can change that. Don't forget to press and hold that like button, leave a comment, and hit subscribe before we begin. Ranked 10th, Peridot, why prices won't rise in 2025. Some of the steepest price drops in this year's gemstone market haven't come from exotic rarities, but from stones so familiar that many barely notice the change. Peridot, the transparent variety of the mineral olivine with the chemical formula, is a prime example. Its distinctive yellow-green color comes from iron within its crystal structure, producing a narrow range of hues that high-end buyers often bypass in favor of stones with more varied tones. With a hardness of 6.5 to 7 on the Mohs scale, Peridot is durable enough for jewelry, but lacks the scratch resistance of corundum or beryl. This factor limits its appeal for everyday wear in premium markets. Modern supply is anchored in 3 major regions. In Arizona, USA, mines on San Carlos Apache land have operated for decades, turning out steady volumes of commercial-grade stones between 1 and 3 carats, with mid-range color and clarity. In China's Xinjiang region, deposits in the Taklamakan Desert supply small, competitively priced stones for mass-market jewelry. Pakistan's Kohistan district remains famous for high-grade peridot with rich saturation and good transparency, yet also exports large volumes of paler, lower-grade material that feeds into the global supply chain. Peridot's history once carried far greater symbolic weight. In ancient Egypt, the island of Zabergad in the Red Sea was regarded as an almost exclusive source, and the stone was reserved for elite use. By the 18th and 19th centuries, Peridot had become a favored choice in European royal settings, valued for its vivid hue and ability to take a fine polish. But as industrial-scale mining expanded in the 20th century and global shipping made gems far easier to access, the sense of rarity attached to commercial-grade peridot quickly faded. Data from international gem trading platforms between 2023 and 2024 shows wholesale prices for commercial-grade peridot holding flat, even as cutting and shipping costs have risen. In the mid to high-end segment, buyers have shifted towards savorit garnet, green tourmaline, or synthetic blue spinel, stones with greater hardness or clearer scarcity. At the lower end, peridot faces intense competition in a price-driven market where margins are already thin. The result is clear. While it still has a secure place in affordable jewelry, thanks to steady supply and accessible pricing, commercial-grade peridot no longer plays a role in serious investment strategies. With abundant output from Arizona, Xinjiang, and Pakistan, and no supply constraints on the horizon, there is little realistic prospect of significant price growth this year. For collectors and investors alike, it is one of the stones best approached with caution. Ranked 9th, Aquamarine, oversupply cuts, investment potential in 2025. Aquamarine is the blue to blue-green variety of beryl, a mineral family that also includes emerald and morganite. Its color comes from iron atoms within the crystal lattice, producing tones that range from deep sea blue to a faint sky tint. On the Mohs scale, it measures between 7.5 and 8, with excellent transparency and a glassy luster that has made it a reliable choice for faceted gems. The most sought-after aquamarine, deep saturated Santa Maria material from Brazil, still commands strong prices. But most of what enters the market today falls into the commercial grade. Pale in color, often heat-treated to remove green overtones, and cut into standard, calibrated sizes for mass-produced jewelry. These stones, even in larger sizes above 10 carats, rarely achieve the value jump that collectors might expect from other gems. Historically, aquamarine held a steady place in Western jewelry, especially as the birthstone for March, and was once prized by European and South American markets. But modern mining has expanded far beyond those early sources. Brazil, Madagascar, Nigeria, Pakistan, and Mozambique together produce consistent, high volumes year after year, ensuring there is no shortage. This abundance, coupled with the fact that pale aquamarine can be found in large crystals, means that supply continues to outpace demand in its segment. Price data from international dealers between 2023 and 2024 shows minimal change in wholesale rates for commercial-grade aquamarine, even as competition from lab-grown sapphire, synthetic spinel, and treated blue topaz intensifies. In the mid-tier market, where aquamarine once enjoyed steady sales, buyers are now gravitating towards stones with either deeper color saturation or stronger rarity factors. For commercial-grade aquamarine, the reality in 2025 is straightforward. Steady production, broad availability, and shifting consumer preference leave little room for significant price growth. For investors and collectors focused on appreciation potential, this variety of beryl has moved from a safe choice to a stone best approached with tempered expectations. From a gemstone whose pale tones limit its premium, we turn to one whose richness of color once made it a staple of the jewelry trade. But in today's market, that same richness hides a problem. Ranked 8th, Garnet Almandine, market saturation keeps prices flat in 2025. Almandine is the most common member of the garnet family, an iron-dash aluminum silicate with the formula. Its hue ranges from deep wine red to a brownish tone so dark it can appear almost black under certain lighting. This depth of color, paired with a refractive index lower than corundum or spinel, gives it a softer glow rather than the sharp brilliance that many modern buyers seek. On the Mohs scale, it scores between 7 and 7.5, making it reasonably durable for daily wear, but it lacks the optical fire to stand out against competitors in the high-end red gemstone segment. For centuries, almandine was valued more for its availability than its rarity. The Romans carved it into intaglios. Medieval artisans set it in signet rings. Victorian jewelers favored it in cabochon form, mounted in gold-filled settings for the growing middle class. Its history is tied not to the treasuries of kings, but to the steady, reliable trade that kept jewelers supplied year after year. In the 20th and 21st centuries, that reliability became overabundance. Large-scale mining in India and Sri Lanka, joined by new production from Madagascar and Mozambique, has made commercial-grade almandine one of the most consistently available colored stones on the market. Gem traders report that calibrated faceted stones between 3 and 6 millimeters are sold in bulk at prices that have barely moved in over a decade. Even larger stones, sometimes weighing tens of carats, see minimal price jumps because size alone does not confer rarity when supply is virtually unlimited. Market data from 2023 to 2024 confirms this stagnation. Wholesale prices for commercial-grade almandine remain among the lowest for red gems, often at less than a tenth the price of ruby or fine spinel of comparable size. Within the garnet group itself, brighter-hued varieties like Peridot and rhodolite have taken the spotlight, drawing higher demand from designers who want sparkle and vibrancy over depth of tone. Outside of jewelry, almandine has found another role. As an industrial abrasive, crushed and graded, it is used in water jet cutting, sandblasting, and filtration media. This dual identity, gemstone and industrial mineral, reinforces a perception in the trade that almandine is abundant, functional, and far from exclusive. For investors, this abundance is a liability. Without scarcity, there is no mechanism for value growth. In 2025, commercial-grade almandine remains an affordable, durable choice for mass-market jewelry, but it stands well outside the circle of stones with serious appreciation potential. For those seeking long-term value, its place is in design work, not in investment portfolios. Ranked 7th, rose quartz. Oversupply leaves no room for price growth in 2025. Rose quartz, the pink variety of quartz, owes its color to microscopic inclusions of dumortierite or phosphosilicate within a crystalline silica framework. With a hardness of 7 on the Mohs scale and a vitreous luster, it is sturdy enough for everyday wear, but is more often found in massive form rather than as fastable transparent crystals. The commercial-grade market is built almost entirely on this enormous variety, cut and polished into cabochons, beads, and decorative objects. Historically, rose quartz has been present in human ornamentation for thousands of years, from carved seals in ancient Mesopotamia to beads in Greek and Roman adornments. In the modern era, it found renewed popularity in mid-20th century costume jewelry and later in the global market for affordable gemstone accessories. In recent decades, it has also been embraced by the wellness and decor industries, carved into spheres, figurines, and household items. The scale of production is enormous. Brazil, Madagascar, South Africa, and India all supply rose quartz in quantities that ensure no shortage for manufacturers. Large open-pit operations can yield blocks of material measured in tons, allowing for continuous, high-volume cutting. This sheer availability has shaped its price trajectory, stable, low, and resistant to any significant upward movement. Consumer preferences have also shifted. While rose quartz retains a place in fashion jewelry and decorative goods, higher-income buyers are turning toward pink gems that offer rarity and transparency, such as morganite, pink sapphire, or spinel. This shift diverts discretionary spending away from rose quartz in the very market segment that could have supported price growth. Market reports from 2023 to 2024 show wholesale pricing for commercial-grade rose quartz virtually unchanged over the last decade. In many trading hubs, its value is calculated by the kilogram rather than per carat, underscoring its position as a bulk commodity rather than a scarce collectible. In 2025, rose quartz continues to be a reliable, accessible material for mass-market products, but its ubiquity leaves no path for significant value appreciation. For investment-minded buyers, it remains a stone best chosen for design purposes rather than for long-term financial gain. The following entry isn't defined by where it was mined, but by what happened to it after it left the earth. A process that changed not just its color, but its entire place in the market. Ranked 6th, sapphire, permanent color, minimal value in 2025. Sapphire, a variety of corundum, has long been valued for its natural hues, durability, and historic ties to royalty. In the untreated form, fine stones from sources like Kashmir, Burma, or Sri Lanka can command prices rivaling the most expensive gems on Earth. Even heat-treated sapphire, when disclosed, is widely accepted in the jewelry trade. Beryllium diffusion treatment, however, operates on a different level. At extremely high temperatures, beryllium atoms penetrate deep into the crystal lattice of corundum, altering its optical properties and producing colors that may not have existed in the original stone. Pale or low-value sapphires can emerge from the process with vivid orange, pink, or bright yellow tones, colors that, in nature, are rare and costly. When the method entered the market in the early 2000s, it created both excitement and concern. There was excitement because the resulting colors were striking and affordable, concern because the treatment was initially difficult to detect, leading to undisclosed sales that blurred the line between natural rarity and manufactured appearance. As detection techniques improved, disclosure became more consistent, and buyers grew more cautious. Today, the price gap between beryllium diffused sapphire and high-quality natural or traditionally heat-treated sapphire is wide. Market reports from 2023 to 2024 show commercial-grade beryllium-treated stones selling for a fraction of their untreated counterparts. In some cases, less than 1/20th of the price per carat. The supply chain is steady, with material flowing from cutting centers in Thailand and Sri Lanka, often sourced from abundant deposits in Madagascar. In 2025, the challenge for this category is not durability. The color change is permanent, but perception. For collectors and investors, rarity drives value, and a color produced in a furnace rather than the earth removes the scarcity factor entirely. While these stones will continue to serve the mass-market jewelry sector with bright, attractive options, their role in investment portfolios is effectively non-existent. Some gemstones lose value through technological change, others through the slow, steady weight of oversupply. This next entry belongs to the latter. Ranked fifth, Baltic Amber, oversupply in imitations, undercut 2025 prices. Despite its place on gemstone lists, amber is not a mineral at all. It is the fossilized resin of prehistoric coniferous trees, primarily Pinus succinifera, that thrived around the Baltic Sea between 44 and 50 million years ago. Over millions of years, volatile components evaporated, polymer chains hardened, and the once sticky resin became a solid, organic gemstone. Its density is low, just enough to float in salt water, and its surface often carries a soft, warm luster unmatched by crystalline minerals. Inside, tiny air bubbles, plant fragments, or even perfectly preserved insects can be trapped, offering a physical time capsule of ancient ecosystems. Humans have been drawn to Baltic amber for thousands of years. Neolithic archaeological sites reveal beads and amulets transported hundreds of kilometers from their source, proof of an early and extensive trade network. By the Bronze Age, the Amber Road linked the Baltic coast with the heart of the Mediterranean world, feeding a demand that was as much about status as it was about beauty. The material's lightweight and ease of carving made it ideal for intricate designs, from amulets believed to carry protective powers to elaborate decorative panels. The 19th and early 20th centuries marked amber's commercial zenith. Königsberg, now Kaliningrad, became the center of extraction and craftsmanship, producing an endless array of beads, carvings, and jewelry components that traveled across Europe and Asia. Even after the upheavals of the 20th century, Kaliningrad remained the world's primary source of Baltic amber, holding vast reserves both in the ground and in warehouses. But in today's global gemstone market, commercial-grade Baltic amber faces a very different set of conditions. The large open-pit mines in Kaliningrad can yield massive quantities of raw material every year, far exceeding the pace at which high-end markets can absorb it. Smaller coastal deposits in Lithuania, Poland, and Latvia add to the total, as does the steady release of older, stored amber back into circulation. A significant portion of what appears in affordable jewelry is not a single piece of natural amber at all, but pressed amber, small fragments bonded under heat and pressure into uniform shapes, or heat-treated pieces designed to darken their color and mask surface flaws. Price data from 2023 to 2024 tells the same story. A slow but persistent decline in wholesale values for standard commercial-grade amber, even as inflation has lifted the cost of most other goods. Part of the pressure comes from competition with copal, a younger resin that looks similar but is cheaper and more abundant, and from outright synthetics made from modern polymers that can mimic amber's look and feel to an untrained eye. While unique, natural pieces with rare inclusions, like a fully preserved insect or plant fragment, still command significant premiums, they represent only a tiny fraction of the total market. For the overwhelming majority of commercial-grade amber, the economic reality in 2025 is fixed. Abundant supply, well-developed substitutes, and a collector market that reserves its attention for only the most exceptional examples. Baltic amber will almost certainly remain a mainstay of affordable jewelry and decorative crafts for decades to come. But as an investment-grade gemstone, its role has diminished beyond recovery, and in the year ahead, there is no realistic path for it to regain the financial stature it once enjoyed. Ranked fourth, Amethyst. Abundance keeps prices down in 2025. Price is not always tied to beauty. Sometimes it's tied to how many tons the earth can give up without breaking a sweat, and Brazil's amethyst proves the point. Amethyst is the purple variety of quartz, colored by trace amounts of iron and natural irradiation within the crystal lattice. With a hardness of 7 on the Mohs scale, it is durable enough for most jewelry uses and has long been admired for its range of hues, from delicate lilac to deep royal purple. In the hierarchy of quartz, amethyst once held a special status. In the ancient world, it was considered a precious stone, valued alongside sapphire, emerald, and ruby. That status began to change in the early 19th century, when massive deposits were discovered in Brazil, permanently altering its position in the gem trade. Today, Brazil remains the dominant force in global amethyst production. The states of Rio Grande do Sul and Minas Gerais host vast geodes, some large enough to stand in, lined with crystals that can reach exceptional sizes. These deposits are so extensive that mining operations can extract multiple tons of rough every month without exhausting the resource. Other producers, Uruguay, Zambia, and Madagascar, add to the supply, but Brazil's volume and efficiency keep it at the top of the list. Commercial-grade Brazilian amethyst, which makes up the bulk of the market, typically exhibits lighter tones, zoning in color, or visible inclusions. While perfectly serviceable for fashion jewelry, it lacks the saturation and clarity that attracts serious collectors. These qualities, combined with sheer availability, have ensured that wholesale prices for commercial-grade material have remained nearly flat for over a decade. In some trading hubs, prices have even slipped when large new lots hit the market. Consumer demand for amethyst has also shifted. In the mid-20th century, it was a fixture in fine jewelry lines. Today, it is more often positioned as an affordable colored stone for silver settings, bead strands, and decorative carvings. At the higher end of the market, buyers prefer the intense, even color of Siberian or Uruguayan material, leaving Brazilian commercial-grade stones in a price bracket where competition is fierce. Lab-created quartz in identical hues, available at even lower prices, adds another layer of pressure. Market reports from 2023 to 2024 highlight a telling statistic. While demand for deep purple, fine-quality amethyst remains stable, commercial-grade Brazilian goods account for the majority of price declines. With supply pipelines well established and low production costs, there is no structural limit on how much can enter the market at any given time. That stability of supply is an advantage for manufacturers and a clear disadvantage for investors. In 2025, Brazilian commercial-grade amethyst remains a reliable, attractive, and affordable gemstone for mass-market jewelry. But in terms of appreciation potential, its long-standing abundance ensures that prices will not see significant upward movement. For investment portfolios, it belongs firmly in the design-use-only category. Ranked third, Ethiopian Opal. Hydrophane limits. Hold back 2025 prices. Not every gemstone's challenge is oversupply alone. Sometimes it's the way the stone behaves after it's been sold. And Ethiopia's hydrophane opal is a case study in how durability can shape demand. Ethiopian opal, first discovered in significant quantities in the Wollo province in 2008, arrived in the gem trade with extraordinary promise. Its vivid play of color, flashes of red, green, blue, and orange dancing across a translucent to transparent body, rivaled that of Australia's famed opals, but often at a fraction of the price. The key difference lay not in appearance, but in structure. Much of Ethiopia's opal is hydrophane, a type that can absorb water into its silica framework. Geologically, this hydrophane nature is tied to the volcanic rhyolite host rock in which the opals form. When exposed to water, the stone can temporarily lose transparency or change its play of color, only to recover as it dries. While harmless in many cases, this trait has complicated its use in jewelry. Extended exposure to moisture or rapid drying can cause cracks, crazing, or even permanent loss of brilliance. For buyers unfamiliar with these properties, disappointment often follows purchase. The Ethiopian opal rush of the 2010s brought a flood of material to the market. Miners extracted significant volumes from shallow deposits, with much of it cut into cabochons for export to Asia, Europe, and the United States. The combination of beauty, availability, and low wholesale costs made it a sensation in both artisan and commercial jewelry lines. But as awareness of its care requirements grew, specific markets, particularly those in humid climates or with high consumer return rates, began to retreat. By 2023 to 2024, the wholesale market for commercial-grade Ethiopian hydrophane opal had begun to show signs of softening. Stones with strong play of color and sound patterning still sold, but the price gap between these and lower-grade goods widens sharply. Lower grades, often with milky backgrounds, weak color, or visible cracks, became difficult to move in bulk. At the same time, Australia's non-hydrophane opals maintain their position in the premium segment, reinforcing a perception gap that Ethiopia's opals have struggled to close. Oversupply compounds the problem. The Wollo fields, along with the smaller Shua production, continue to yield substantial quantities each year. Without a constraint on mining or a significant shift in consumer perception, the likelihood of price growth for commercial-grade material remains low. Dealers increasingly describe Ethiopian opal as a design stone, one chosen for its immediate visual impact, not for long-term investment value. In 2025, Ethiopian hydrophane opal stands as a gemstone of remarkable beauty and equally remarkable limitations. For jewelers willing to educate customers on care, it remains a compelling option. For investors seeking stable or rising prices, it has become one of the riskiest choices on the market. Ranked second, Citrine, heat treatment, keeps prices low in 2025. Sometimes the problem isn't where a stone comes from, but how easily it can be made from something else. And citrine is perhaps the clearest example in the modern gem trade. Citrine is the yellow to orange variety of quartz, colored by trace amounts of iron. In nature, it is relatively uncommon, occurring when the iron is oxidized during the crystal's formation under specific geological conditions. Historically, natural citrine was mined in small quantities from locations like Brazil's Rio Grande do Sul and Madagascar, prized for its warm tones and transparency. But most of the citrine sold today, especially in the commercial-grade market, did not start its life as citrine at all. Instead, it began as amethyst or smoky quartz, subjected to controlled heat treatment at temperatures between 450 degrees Celsius and 600 degrees Celsius. The process changes the oxidation state of iron within the crystal lattice, transforming purple or brownish-gray quartz into golden yellow or reddish-orange citrine. The visual result is often more saturated than natural citrine, making it appealing for mass-market jewelry. This ease of production is both the stone's commercial strength and its investment weakness. Amethyst deposits in Brazil and other countries are vast, and much of the lower-quality material unsuitable for high-end amethyst sales is converted into citrine. Because the process is inexpensive and scalable, the supply is virtually unlimited. The market can be replenished in large volumes at short notice, keeping prices low. In the 20th century, citrine enjoyed popularity as an affordable alternative to topaz, set in rings, pendants, and bracelets across a range of jewelry styles. In the early 2000s, it saw a brief resurgence in fashion lines that favored warm, earthy palettes. But that demand has not translated into long-term price stability. Today, lab-created quartz in citrine colors is also available at even lower costs, further compressing margins for natural and heat-treated and stones alike. Market data from 2023 to 2024 shows wholesale prices for commercial-grade citrine holding steady or slipping, with the most significant declines in the bulk parcel trade. Fine, untreated natural citrine does command higher prices, but it is a rarity that makes up only a fraction of the global market. For the majority of stones in circulation, those produced from heat-treated amethyst, the combination of abundant supply and limited consumer awareness of treatment has locked the price structure in place. In 2025, citrine remains a bright, cheerful choice for affordable jewelry, but its potential as an investment stone is virtually non-existent. When production is limited only by the availability of amethyst, one of the most common quartz varieties, there is no mechanism for scarcity to drive value upward. In first place, blue topaz, unlimited supply blocks, value growth in 2025. Some gems lose value because supply is too large, others because the quality is too uneven. But this one, its problem is that the market can make more of it almost at will. Blue topaz in its vivid shades, from Swiss light blue to London deep blue, is one of the most familiar gemstones in contemporary jewelry. Geologically, topaz is an aluminum silicate fluoride hydroxide, crystallizing in orthorhombic form with a hardness of 8 on the Mohs scale and a high refractive index that gives it bright, clean brilliance when well cut. In its natural state, topaz can occur in a range of colors, but strongly saturated blue is scarce. For most of history, this rarity kept blue topaz out of the mainstream jewelry market. That changed in the late 20th century when gem processors learned to produce intense, stable blues through a combination of irradiation and heat. The process typically begins with colorless or pale topaz, abundant and inexpensive, mainly from Brazil, Nigeria, and Sri Lanka. Stones are exposed to controlled irradiation, which alters the crystal lattice to produce a grayish or vivid blue tone, and then heated to fine-tune the final color. The transformation is permanent, and the resulting stones are indistinguishable in durability from their untreated counterparts. This breakthrough allowed jewelers to offer large, eye-catching blue gems at affordable prices, and blue topaz rapidly became a staple in rings, pendants, and earrings. But the same advantage, easy, scalable production, also ensured that prices would remain low. Once the supply chain was established, producers could turn out thousands of carats per month with no practical limit. As long as there was enough colorless topaz to treat, there was no scarcity to drive value. By the early 2000s, the market was saturated. Even fine, deep London blue stones over 10 carats could be purchased at prices far below comparable blue gems like sapphire or spinel. Wholesale prices for commercial-grade irradiated blue topaz have barely moved in decades, immune to the kind of appreciation seen in gems whose rarity is natural, not manufactured. Market data from 2023 to 2024 confirms this stability at the low end, with little sign of change in 2025. Consumer awareness also plays a role. Blue topaz is now widely recognized as a treated gem, and while most buyers accept this for fashion jewelry, it removes the perception of exclusivity that fuels investment-grade demand. In higher-end markets, sapphire dominates the premium blue gemstone category, leaving irradiated topaz as a purely decorative choice. In 2025, blue topaz remains visually striking and physically durable, making it a reliable component of mass-market designs. But its investment potential is non-existent. When the process that creates its most desirable colors is both permanent and indefinitely repeatable, there is no path for rarity, and without rarity, there is no path for price growth. The market for gemstones is not ruled by beauty alone. It answers to supply chains, to the speed of extraction, to the technologies that can alter a stone's color in a matter of hours. This year's list is a reminder that value is built on rarity, and rarity can be lost, slowly through decades of mining, or suddenly through a single breakthrough in treatment. Every gem here still has a place in the world, in rings and pendants, in collections that prize color and design over investment return. But when the factors that once made them scarce have changed, the market responds. For traders, this is a signal to adapt. For collectors, a reason to look closer at origin, treatment, and availability before buying. And for anyone watching prices, it's proof that in the gem world, nothing is guaranteed to hold its worth forever. This was the year's list of gemstones set to lose value, each for its reason, all shaped by the same forces that decide the winners and losers of the market. The stones remain, the prices do not. Let us know which one resonates with you in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.